Hi, in this video episode we're going to talk about our first reading on technology by Gregory Davis called Technology, Humanism, or Nihilism. As the name suggests of the article, Davis is trying to argue that we need to sort of take a different approach, a different sort of perspective on technology, what he's going to end up calling the humanist perspective. Again, in the title, the idea of nihilism is that if we don't, that it's actually going to spell our doom. In the beginning of the essay, he distinguishes technology from what he calls modern technology. And I think the gigantic difference between the two really has to do with the direction of fit as far as adaptation goes. So with the use of technology, people have used tools as a way to try to adapt themselves to the environment. So I wear clothes to keep warm, I have fires. But in modern technology, we do something really different. That is, what we start to do is we start to actually transform our environment to adapt to us. So we build hydroelectric dams that change the course of rivers. We put paved roads, we level out areas that people can walk, we change the environment in which we live using heating and cooling. And we do this out of an odd sense of laziness, which is, rather than me adapting to the environment, I'd like the environment to adapt to me. The long-term consequence of this has just been sort of stunning. We've made the world that we live in amazingly complex. So complex indeed that people used to be considered adults at around age 18. I don't think we'd consider an 18-year-old an actual adult today. I don't even think 21 would make someone an adult today. We're probably into the mid-20s, maybe even the early 30s before one actually reaches adulthood in our culture. And the lingering question is why? What's changed? Well, technology has changed our world. It's made it so amazingly complex. The amount of stuff a basic person like you needs to learn, even to be marginally effective in the world in which you live, is tremendous. Takes a huge amount of time. And what we've really done is we've really sort of stretched this artificial period that didn't exist a couple hundred years ago called adolescence. Modern technology also brings all these problems, in that if you listed maybe the top 10 things that would cause us to go extinct on the planet, 9 out of those 10 are probably direct results of our technology itself, right? So global warming, pollution, development of weapons, right? From here, what he does is he poses two differing perspectives. One he calls the humanist perspective, and the other perspective, which he claims is currently the dominant perspective, is the technician's perspective. The humanist perspective isn't a return to the cave movement, as he says. It's not a rejection of all technology. Instead, it's a hope that we somehow learn how to rationally control technology. Make technology start serving us rather than us serving technology. Key to this idea of a humanist approach is what he refers to as a holistic optic. That is, this perspective where what we're able to do is see things as interconnected. Right? That what we understand is that the things that we sort of go through, we don't go through in isolation. That any particular problem is going to have connection with a whole bunch of different kinds of problems. So when we take college courses and stuff, rather than just majoring and specializing, we need to develop people who have a broad view of the universe, who not only understand like politics, they understand the economics behind decisions, they understand the environmental impacts, they understand the social impacts. So what we really need to produce in order to achieve this holistic optic are, again, a group of people who know a whole lot about a whole lot of things. But our culture doesn't do this, right? So the second perspective is the technician's perspective, and the technicians just have this view that technology is good, right? So think of the view that we sometimes have of Steve Jobs and Apple. This is definitely a gentleman who changed the world, right? The question is, did he actually change it for the better, right? He gave us all these tools, he made the world amazingly complex, he's supposed to open up, right? But is change always necessarily good? Change for change's sake, change that doesn't actually move us forward but instead just moves us sideways, is really, really questionable. So the technicians celebrate all things technological, right? They think the technology is going to be the solution to all of our big problems, and they genuinely believe that technological innovation over time is going to get rid of things like starvation and pollution, and undoubtedly technology again has made our lives much more comfortable. But again, I think we can leave open that question: has it actually improved our lives, and are there some limits? That is Davis right when he says at this point technology is sort of, kind of really sort of a bit out of control? There are 4 factors he lists that keep the technician's view sort of the dominant view. So one, I think he refers to as let's see, is it there's the economic factor. The economic factor, we live in a capitalist system. For a capitalist system to survive, it's really, really dependent upon growth. And one of the main engines of growth is technological innovation. So we see when we hit a little recession or something, a whole lot of effort goes into bolster the economy, to get selling and buying going, more and more. And again, technological innovation is key to this. So the fact that we have an economic system based on this is really going to, again, keep that technician's view in place, right? The second is the sociological factor. And with the sociological factor, what we see is we live in a society that's already highly dependent upon technology, right? College of San Mateo is on the top of a very beautiful hill. The problem is that if people wanted to get rid of their automobiles, if they wanted to sort of de-technologize, let's say they even wanted to get off fossil fuels, they'd find it well near impossible to get to school every day, right? Because again, it's at the top of the hill. Markets aren't close by. Pharmacies are really far away. If you want to talk to people, you have to have a cell phone, right? So there are these things in our very social structure at this point that really reinforce and support this technician's view. And if we wanted to control them, if we wanted to go off in some different angle, it'd be really, really difficult. The third is sort of the technological fix. Here's the problem, right? We live in a society in which we use technology to fix problems. The question comes up, well, what do we use to, how would we find a non-technological solution to the problems of technology? That is, will more technology fix the problems of technology? We would probably not, right? Instead, what we would need is some sort of sociological change. We'd have to have, again, some sort of shift in our perspective around the use and deployment of technology. But again, there are these 4 forces that he talks about that keep that view in place. So again, he's advocating that we sort of adopt this different perspective. Davis, unlike our next theorist that we'll look at in a bit, is very hopeful. He thinks that, again, if we sort of adopt this humanist perspective, maybe we can get technology to start serving us again.